Prairie Wildlife is one of the most unique properties in the Deep South when it comes to a working farm, a profitable row crop and cow-calf operation intermixed with deliberate intentional wildlife conservation. You just don't find that very often, and you don't find many landowners who are willing to sacrifice some production to create a wildlife-friendly landscape in this part of the world. So it's got tremendous hunting opportunities, tremendous conservation opportunities, and tremendous research opportunities, which is why the Mississippi State University has been so involved with them for so long.
So this is an award that for the last couple of years John Deere and Quail Forever have partnered with to present to landowners that are doing more than their fair share of work for quail and pheasants in different parts of the country. Every year there's an opportunity to nominate landowners, and when that came around I wrote a letter nominating Mr. Jimmy Bryan, and he was picked as this year's Quail Forever Farmer of the Year.
Our Farmer of the Year award is a way that we can lift up people that are doing just great things for quail and other wildlife on their properties, and also integrating great quail management into an active and productive farm environment.
One day I got a call from Jimmy Bryan in West Point, Mississippi. I didn't know Jimmy up to that point. And he said, "I'd like you to come look at my property and give me some ideas about how I might be able to restore wild birds to the property." And Jimmy and I spent the better part of a day driving around looking at the property. And what I found is that the way Jimmy described it is he'd spent the last 30 years making this property more productive and profitable for his cattle and row crop operation. And he'd been successful at that. But it came at a cost, and that cost was the loss of the wild quail populations that he'd always had on that place that he'd grown up hunting, and he wanted those days back. So that conversation started a 25-year relationship between Jimmy Bryan and myself, and also Mississippi State University and Prairie Wildlife. And what we did for the next 25 years is we systematically moved across this entire property, addressing the resource concerns. Now, from the start, Jimmy called me because he was interested in quail, but he had other resource concerns that he wanted to address as well. He had significant erosion, sheet erosion and rill, as well as some substantial gully erosion. So we started with the planning process, and we systematically designed on maps what a future condition would look like that would address these resource concerns and produce the outcomes he wanted. Reduced erosion, clean water, more quail.
When we talked about quail conservation, we talked about current population trends, habitat management, all the above. Time's not on our side. It's not. Sometimes folks tell us we might be growing too fast, we might be trying to do too much. We can't afford not to. We need folks like Mr. Bryan that are out there that understand that he needs to build his legacy and do as much as he can right now so that we got him tomorrow and the year after, and so that our kids and our grandkids get to chase quail the way we get to.
We've had several projects out here, particularly some pollinator plantings in the last couple of years, where we've really gone on the upper end of diversity in those seed mixes and created some plantings that are somewhat first of their kind in the state of Mississippi, trying to prove that rather than just hitting the minimum requirements for those plantings, you can really restore a native ecosystem of plants and really increase that diversity for the benefit of a lot of wildlife. And Mr. Jimmy was very open to that idea and was willing to give me a chance to put a mix together and put that on the ground. And we're in the first year of that, but so far the results have been really good. And on top of that, Mr. Jimmy is really open to hosting workshops and landowner trainings and things like that. And I really appreciate that about him. He's doing all this work and he wants to share it with other people.
Jimmy is very proud of the fact that he's influenced the careers of so many people like myself. Now I also know that he likes fat cows and he likes to hear birds whistle, so he's got motivating factors other than just that. But he is, I think, very proud of the legacy he has, not just in the things that he's done for the birds and the wildlife, but the things he's done for the people that support the birds and the wildlife.
What he's allowed myself and my predecessors to do on this property in terms of taking land out of production to put it into quail habitat, being flexible with us and as farmers on making sure the farmer's happy and the biologists are happy. I can't think of anybody else that deserves that award more, and I'm just thrilled to see him finally get some recognition for his effort.
There isn't a more deserving person than Mr. Jimmy. It's simply because the things Mr. Jimmy does today, he knows will not benefit him tomorrow. They will not benefit him next year. He's trying to grow quail in 10 years, in 20 years. He's trying to grow quail so that my generation can enjoy them the way his generation did. And he puts a lot of work into something that he knows he won't see the fruits of. That, to me, is what qualifies him and makes him the most deserving candidate for that award.
At the end of the day, the most important thing to Jimmy Bryan are people and getting the most out of them and letting them be the best they can be.
Yeah, John Deere has partnered with Quail Forever to recognize a Farmer of the Year because first, we believe in the mission of Quail Forever. And secondly, we believe with the technology, John Deere technology, along with the practices that a farmer will put into place, can be both environmentally and economically sustainable. Mr. Jimmy's willingness to quickly adapt and adopt new management practices based in scientific research has played a pivotal role in his success in managing his property for quail.
You know, we still got time, but we don't have a lot of time. But we did nothing for quail. It was just the natural habitat, and the birds were here, and they coexisted with our farming practices those days and with the cattle in those days. When we came in and started planting fescue, Bermuda grass to have year-round grazing, and then we started trying to fit-sow farming. It was just obvious. At some point you woke up and you said, well, hell, I know why we don't have any birds. They got nowhere to live. I spent a day with Dr. Berger. He told me all that we needed to do. I said, Wes, you're telling me I need to make this place look like it did in the 50s. And he said, that's exactly right. You got to change your whole habitats. You got to put nesting area in. You got to put root habitat, shrub cover. And I had started a little bit of repairing stuff on the creeks prior to that, but we accelerated after that. And we just methodically went every year taking more ground out of production, putting it into conservation. Well, the first thing I'll say, I was totally shocked by it, because I had no inclination that was going to happen. And I don't feel like we're the best of the best in any category, but we do have a devoted staff, and we worked awful hard to work on conservation. We've been friends with Quail forever. They're the only organization dedicated to doing something for quail. They hire all these biologists, put them in NRCS offices to work with clients in the field, help them, and then we've held 2 bobwhite boot camps here for their new biologists to bring them up to speed. So we've had a growing relationship with Quail forever. We didn't do any of it to win any kind of award. We tried to latch on to somebody that we thought was doing the right thing. But I'm honored to receive this prestigious award from Quail Forever and John Deere. I'll strive to continue living up to this award, treasure it forever, and display it proudly. I appreciate what Quail Forever and John Deere do for conservation. Without them, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are today, and they do a wonderful job.
From my perspective, you know, Mr. Bryan is so important to the quail resource because we're looking for folks that not only have the ability to make a landscape scale impact for the bird, but Mr. Bryan, you know, when you see the things he's done, when you talk to him, you can tell how much he cares. And we need people like him that care as much as he does, so we can do the things that we do and make the impact that we do, so we can move the needle the right way for this iconic species.